No kitchen, no shower, no bed, both a vehicle and a home. More and more Americans are living in their cars, and thousands more have nowhere to go at all. This is the real face of homelessness in the United States right here, right now.
Yeah, it's a daily struggle just to survive. It's not like I can go out and, even if I could work, I don't even have a shower. I don't have a place to go to the bathroom,
According to official estimates, it affects over 500,000 people, and the true number may be much higher. In a country often described as the land of opportunity, is this really understandable? Why is it happening? And what does this reality reveal about America in the 21st century? This documentary peels back the glossy surface of the American dream to expose a society where hope, poverty, and dignity intertwine. Watch until the end and discover the 5 real reasons why more and more Americans are losing their homes. Because the answers may fundamentally change the way you see homelessness in America. Employed but still homeless.
I work for a Rite Aid and I'm a floor supervisor. That is a regular 9-to-5 job. I don't look like I'm homeless, but I am.
It all starts with something simple: rent. For decades, the cost of living, especially housing, has risen far faster than income. In major cities like San Francisco, New York, and Los Angeles, the price of even a small apartment has long exceeded what an average earner can afford. When half of a person's income goes toward rent, a single unexpected event, unemployment, illness, or divorce, can be enough to make them lose their home. The American housing market has shifted from a basic necessity to an object of speculation. Investment funds and large financial corporations are buying up entire buildings to rent them out at high prices or leave them empty, hoping their value will rise. This has sent prices soaring while the supply of affordable housing shrinks rapidly. Meanwhile, there are no political measures in place to regulate the market or protect low-income households. Unlike in Europe, where tenants' rights are enshrined in law in the US, it's the forces of supply and demand that dictate the situation, with devastating consequences for the working class. This has created a new social group, the working homeless people with steady jobs who still can't afford a place to live. They're nurses, teachers, and delivery drivers, yet they sleep in their cars or in emergency shelters at night. Hundreds of so-called safe parking areas have sprung up across California, guarded parking lots, where people are allowed to sleep in their vehicles. These lots are overcrowded with waiting lists that stretch endlessly. The housing crisis in the United States has long ceased to be merely an economic issue. It reflects deep social inequality and raises questions about the very authenticity of the American dream. If hard work no longer guarantees security and prosperity, the nation risks losing one of its core promises. Housing, a basic human right, has become a privilege that fewer and fewer people can afford in 21st century America. One bill can change an entire life.
I have to have surgery and 3 screws in my shoulder. They place me off work.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So now you can't work?
Now I can't work.
In the United States, life often resembles a house of cards. As long as everything stays steady, it stands firm. But a single small shock, illness, divorce, or job loss can bring it all crashing down. The American social model relies heavily on individual responsibility and personal success. Yet its core weakness lies here: when fate turns against you, there's almost no safety net to catch you.
Like, I have a medical situation going on right now. that's taken all the money that I just worked for last week out of my pocket, and I don't know where the next money's coming from, and I still don't have a place to live except for this RV.
The healthcare system is one of the biggest risks. Health insurance is expensive and often tied to employment. When you lose your job, you don't just lose your income. You also lose access to medical care. As a result, a serious illness can quickly become a financial catastrophe. According to a Harvard University study, more than 60% of personal bankruptcies in the US stem from medical expenses, a phenomenon almost unimaginable in Europe. Their healthcare is treated as a public good. In America, it has become a costly commodity. Without a strong social safety net, collapse becomes a silent tragedy. Many people gradually slide into poverty. First, they lose their home, then their savings, and finally their stability and dignity. In a society where personal independence is valued above all, poverty is quickly seen as a moral failing. Those who fall behind are not viewed as victims of misfortune, but as people who simply weren't capable enough. This stigma causes many affected individuals to avoid seeking help out of shame or fear of being ostracized. This structural fragility reveals how deeply the American dream has begun to crack. In an economy built on competition and individual success, there is no room for failure. But life is full of changes, and without protection, any change can become a threat. The United States has become a country where security can vanish with a single bill, a twist of fate, or one wrong decision. Behind every car someone sleeps in lies a story not just of bad luck, but of a system that no longer offers second chances. When freedom becomes a risk. America prides itself on freedom. It's the core of the national identity, the symbol of the American dream, and the guiding principle of a society built on the belief that everyone can shape their own destiny. But this freedom also has a darker side. In a country where personal responsibility is held above all else, freedom often means that each person is solely responsible for their own survival, their shelter, their health, and even their old age. This mindset is deeply rooted in American individualism. It traces back to the pioneers who believed that with hard work and determination, anything was possible. But today, in a modern and complex society, that dream has been turned upside down. Freedom has become a risk. Those without stable jobs, those who fall ill, or those who simply have bad luck, can easily be swept into a system lacking solidarity. When the state steps aside, people's lives are left to the mercy of market forces and chance. The ideal of self-reliance has created a paradoxical society, one that strongly believes in personal achievement, yet is weak in social cohesion. Housing is not treated as a basic right, but as a competition for scarce space. Education is not a public good, but a matter of financial means. And illness can lead to bankruptcy. Those who fall behind are seen not as people deserving of help, but as those to blame for their own misfortune. This attitude has produced not only inequality and a widening gap between social classes, but also profound loneliness. In a country that prides itself on freedom, many people find themselves trapped in debt, in fear, and in shame. They work, they believe in themselves, yet they still end up sleeping in cars or on the streets, abandoned by a system that fails them in the name of freedom. It reveals the bitter irony of the American dream. A nation that preaches liberty has forgotten that true freedom cannot exist without security and compassion. Living in a van, freedom or survival. Online van life looks like freedom. People post pictures of sunrises over the desert, coffee by the beach, and perfectly decorated minimalist interiors. But those glossy images tell only half the story. Behind the romantic facade lies a growing survival strategy. In reality, many Americans live in vans not out of a desire for adventure, but because they have no other choice. For them, the van isn't a symbol of freedom, it's the last resort to avoid the streets. These vehicles are often old, rusty, and hastily converted. Winters are freezing, summers unbearably hot. Many park in public areas, industrial zones, or near supermarket lots, constantly worried about being discovered or told to move on. The hashtag van life may have millions of views on social media, but behind many of those accounts is a harsh truth: no shower, no electricity, no safety. Would you really want to live like that? The reality exposes the thin line between romantic van living and real homelessness. At the same time, this phenomenon highlights the practicality and resilience of many Americans. They make the best of what they have. If the system doesn't provide housing, they build their own. It's a form of self-empowerment and a quiet critique of a society that forces people to live in their vehicles just to preserve their dignity. In Europe, such a reality might seem almost unimaginable. But in America, the idea is deeply ingrained: do what you can with what you have. That's the American way of survival, with courage, creativity, and a stubborn sense of hope. The social safety net in name only. In Germany or France, there's a term that almost doesn't exist in the United States social safety net. In Europe, someone who falls ill might lose income, but rarely their home. In America, both can happen within a matter of weeks. The U.S. welfare system is fragmented, overcomplicated, and chronically overwhelmed. While assistance programs do exist, they're locally limited, severely underfunded, and often difficult to access. Many benefit applications take months to process, and some require documents that unhoused people simply can't provide, such as a permanent address or recent tax records. This creates a vicious cycle: no address, no aid, no aid, no address. Homeless shelters that do exist are often overcrowded or unsafe. Many people report theft, violence, or assault. As a result, some prefer to sleep in their cars. At least there they can lock the doors. American society relies more on private charity than on government responsibility. Churches, nonprofits, and volunteers take on roles that in Europe would typically fall under public services. They hand out food blankets and gas vouchers. Some communities offer safe parking programs, secure lots, where people are legally allowed to sleep in their vehicles. But all of this is far from enough. As long as structural poverty persists, any form of aid remains just a bandage over an open wound. For many Americans, homelessness isn't a personal failure. It's the result of policies that have left social welfare to the mercy of the market. Rising inequality when work is no longer enough. America once took pride in its middle-class people who could make a decent living through honest work. But that middle class is shrinking. While the wealthy grow ever richer, millions are struggling just to get by. Since the 1980s, corporate productivity and profits have surged, yet wages have barely moved. Today, the average worker's income, adjusted for inflation, is lower than it was 40 years ago. At the same time, the cost of living has skyrocketed. Healthcare, education, housing, energy, everything keeps getting more expensive. In some cities, a family with young children pays over $20,000 a year for health insurance alone. Many Americans work 2 or even 3 jobs with no real sense of security. They become tired, burned out, and discouraged. And when something goes wrong, their only refuge may be their car. A Federal Reserve study found that around 37% of Americans would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense. This means that a flat tire, a doctor's visit, or a late rent payment can trigger a crisis. This sense of insecurity has seeped deep into the national consciousness. Poverty in America isn't just an external condition, it's a constant threat. Today in Los Angeles, more people live in their cars than there are residents in some European villages. And while politicians argue over statistics, tent cities are rising along highway symbols of a system that has lost its promise. It's a reality many prefer not to see. Behind the camera and the online photos. What is life in a car really like? It's a constant search for safety, power, and dignity. In the morning, many people shower at gyms if they can afford a membership. Others use public restrooms or wash up in sinks at rest stops. Breakfast often means prepackaged food from a cooler or something quick from the grocery store. During the day, they go to work. Many hold ordinary jobs in offices, construction sites, or factories. They park near their workplace and try to stay unnoticed. In the evening, the search begins again for a safe place to spend the night. Some cities like Santa Barbara and San Diego allow certain designated areas. Elsewhere, people face fines or even risk having their vehicles towed. Still, most try to preserve a sense of dignity. They decorate their interiors, hang photos, and light small candles. This life is undeniably difficult, but it also reveals extraordinary resilience. The ability to adapt, endure, and hold on to one's humanity in the face of hardship. Hope among the cracks. Amid the quiet despair that shadows America's housing crisis, there are still sparks of light. In places like California, compassion is not extinct, it simply takes new forms. Volunteers, mechanics, church groups, and even college students gather in parking lots and roadside spaces, carrying with them the essence of community that the system forgot. They fix engines that refuse to start, bring food and blankets, and set up mobile showers where dignity can be briefly restored. In Santa Cruz, a local program has become a lifeline. It doesn't just offer temporary comfort, it helps people rebuild their lives, guiding them from the driver's seat of a van back to a front door. For those who have lived too long in the margins, these small acts of humanity are nothing short of transformative. They remind us that survival in America isn't just about resilience, it's about connection. Yet these stories of kindness are both inspiring and haunting. They show that while people's hearts remain generous, the structure beneath them is deeply fractured. Charity can offer warmth, but not shelter from the storm forever. Without structural change, affordable housing, accessible healthcare, and stronger social safety nets, these efforts are like bandages over a wound that keeps reopening. Still, there's something profoundly American in the persistence of hope. Even when systems fail, people refuse to. In every repaired van and shared meal lies a quiet defiance, a belief that no one should be invisible. That compassion still has power in a world obsessed with self-reliance. These everyday heroes don't rebuild the system, they rebuild faith. And perhaps that's where real change begins. The right to a home. What remains when everything else is gone? Sometimes it's just a car, a sleeping bag, and the fragile hope that tomorrow might be different. Yet within those stories of loss lies something deeply human, the refusal to surrender. Across America, thousands of people live, work, save, and dream from the front seats of their cars. They hold on to the belief that one day they'll turn a key again, not to start an engine, but to open a door. For them, that moment represents more than shelter. It's a return to dignity, to belonging. The dream of America has always been about possibility, but the truth beneath the flag is far more complicated. It's a nation of resilience built on contradictions, endless wealth alongside deep poverty, skyscrapers rising over tent cities. Still, the spirit that refuses to break endures. America falls and somehow it rises again. But freedom, as the country loves to proclaim, cannot truly exist while a roof remains a privilege. Real freedom isn't found on highways or in parking lots. It begins in the quiet security of having somewhere to return to. A place to sleep without fear, a door that locks from the inside. A home is not just wood and walls, it's the foundation of everything else. It allows people to dream, to work, to love, to build. Without it, everything becomes survival. The right to a home is not a luxury. It's the right to exist with dignity. And perhaps that's the heart of the American paradox. A nation built on liberty still learning that true freedom cannot thrive in the absence of shelter. Because in the end, the measure of a country isn't how high its towers rise, but how many people have a place to call home.